lots of border jumpers here. I call them border jumpers. Some people call them asylum seekers. I call them border jumpers because literally they're coming across the border and not at the normal ports of entry. They're kind of freaking people out here. They're ringing the doorbells, banging on windows. This used to be a nice, quiet border town, and life has changed for us here in the town of Emerson. Everybody's a little bit on edge. They're concerned of what's coming down the road, and there are more people coming.
You're in Canada.
Now you're seeing them almost daily, bigger groups, more people than ever before. I think once the numbers do get released, they will be almost as many now as we had all last year, and that's just in the last 2 months. Okay, need to go here. I can't be late for the meeting. Morning, Troy. Feel a little nippy this morning.
Yeah.
Well, let's start this meeting. Thursday morning there was 10 picked up. There's been a gag order from Trudeau and they're not divulging any numbers or information anymore to myself or the media. So they're just sweeping it under the rug right now, hoping it's going to go away, and these numbers are climbing steady. I'm getting a number of calls from people in Emerson that are concerned. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. We only have 6 IBET patrol officers to cover 515 kilometers. The United States, for the same amount of border, have 90. So there are going to be people missing. Okay. When the Prime Minister welcomes everyone and Mr. Trump says we're going to clean up our country, Emerson got hit with it.
The government isn't doing their part. Like, our Prime Minister should have had some kind of a plan, not just open the border, but have a plan.
Lots of people are afraid to speak out because they might be labeled as racist.
The people are feared. They don't want to answer their doors at night anymore when people come knocking because they don't know if it's a refugee or if it's somebody coming to visit.
I made it known when I took the job in town here to be a butcher or meat cutter. My family comes first, the fire department and the medical side second, and then my job third.
My dad was a volunteer firefighter, my brother is a firefighter, my niece, our son,
it's a family affair.
It's a family affair.
Because we're both firefighters and 6 of us are also EMTs on top of that, we start out with the search and rescue for these people, and then we have to stay around and treat them if there's any medical conditions. So when we finally found them here, there was 17 people in this open-doored shed here. So the road we're on now is the border road. The road itself is in Canada. That ditch to your immediate right is in the US. That's all we have here for a border. So it's not that people have to struggle to get across or anything else. It's just a matter of walking through. I don't want to defend a border. I mean, people should enter legally and do it properly. But you know, we've been having this undefended border since forever, and I like to keep it that way.
We have to close that loophole first. It's not that we don't want them in Canada. It's just we don't want the way they're coming in.
Personally, I'd rather see it go through the legal system, but since that loophole is there, and there's not an awful lot that emergency services or law enforcement can do.
Since we were also immigrants, we think that Canada is very welcoming, and we should welcome them with open hands.
They have to be done sanitary mode. You realize that the asylum seekers do need help because we don't know what's coming through. These are the blankets that they give to the Somalians at the CBSA. Most of them come very, very cold. Sometimes they're wet.
When we first started, everything was fine, but then we started getting more blankets.
People are getting harder and more on guard. So it's going to change Canada.
I'm sure if Justin Trudeau and his wife and children were here for week 2 or 3, he would realize very quickly on how big the threat is.
As far as I'm concerned, he's a jerk. You can put that on the news too. And open the doors to Canada, take anybody from everywhere. That's
both. We can't do it going that way. Why should they come and have to get away with it coming this way?
I'm just a reeve, and I'm dealing with national security and national laws now. So yeah, this is a little bit out of my league, but it's interesting. See, there's another one in the background. He looks out his window. There's a street light outside his place. Sees 6, 7, 8 people, all black people. They're not from Emerson. Like, oh, nothing has changed other than more people are crossing.